Jisoo held the job offer letter in her hands, reading it for the 5th time. Her heart beat fast with excitement. Nexus Corporation, the biggest maker of brain-computer tech in the world, wanted her to work for them. "I can't believe they picked me," she said to her mother, who was cooking dinner in their small apartment. Sun Lai looked up from the stove with worry in her eyes. "The letter does not say much about what you will be doing." Jisoo shrugged. "They make secret tech. That's how these big companies work." Sun Mai stirred the soup slowly. "I don't trust them. Why would they want someone who just finished school?" "Because I was the best in my class," Jisoo said. She didn't mean to sound proud, but it was true. Her tests in neuroengineering were the highest scores the school had seen in 10 years, and her empathy scores were even higher. She understood how brains worked, both the tech side and the human side. "Just be careful," Sun Mai said. 1 week later, Jisoo stood in front of the Nexus building. It was tall and made of dark glass that reflected the clouds. She took a deep breath and walked through the front doors. A woman at the desk gave her a badge. "Dr. Han is waiting for you on floor 23. The elevator moved so smoothly that Jisoo barely felt it rise. When the doors opened, a tall man with round glasses waited for her. "Jisoo, welcome to Nexus." He held out his hand. "I am Dr. Han, the research director." Jisoo shook his hand. "Thank you for this chance, sir." "Follow me," Han said, walking down a white hallway. "Your test scores were very impressive. Not many people understand both the tech and the human mind so well." Jisoo felt her face grow warm at the praise. "I just find it all interesting." They stopped at a door marked Project Mirror. Han pressed his badge against a scanner, and the door slid open. Inside was a room filled with screens and strange machines. 3 other people in white coats looked up when they entered. "This is our newest team member," Han said to them. Then he turned to Jisoo. "We are working on something important here, something that will change how humans learn and grow." Jisoo looked at the machines with wide eyes. "What exactly are we making?" "We call it the Mirror," Han said. "It's a training system that creates real feeling simulations. Soldiers can practice facing their fears before a real battle." One of the team members, a man about Jisoo's age, stepped forward. "I'm Junho. I work on the emotional response patterns." Jisoo nodded at him. "Nice to meet you." Han led Jisoo to a chair in the center of the room. It was connected to a machine with many wires. "Your first job is to test the system. We need to see how a brain like yours responds to the simulation." Jisoo felt a small knot of worry form in her stomach. "Is it safe?" Han smiled. "Completely. We've all tried it. It feels real while you're in it, but you're always safe." "What will I see in there?" Jisoo asked. "Everyone sees something different," Han said. "The system reads your mind and creates what you fear most. But remember, it's just a test. You can stop anytime by saying exit sequence." Jisoo sat in the chair. As Junho attached small sensors to her temples, she noticed something odd. He wouldn't meet her eyes. "Ready?" Han asked. Jisoo pushed away her worry and nodded. This was her chance to work with the best tech in the world. Of course she was ready. "Beginning neural mapping," Han said. "Just relax. When you wake up, you'll be in the simulation." The last thing Jisoo saw before the world went dark was Han whispering something to one of the other scientists. The woman looked at Jisoo with what seemed like pity. Then everything faded away. What Jisoo didn't know was that she wasn't hired to be a researcher at all. She was brought to Nexus as a test subject. As soon as Jisoo was asleep in the chair, Han turned to the others in the room. "Lock her neural pathways. Make sure she can't use the exit command." Junho looked worried. "Sir, that's not what we agreed on. She should be able to leave if—" "Are you questioning me?" Han's voice was cold. Junho looked down. "No, sir." Han walked to a door at the back of the room. It opened to show a dark space with a large glass window. Behind the glass sat 3 figures. They were tall and thin with skin that seemed to glow slightly blue in the dim light. Their eyes were large and completely black. "Our guests are ready to begin," Han said to his team. "Remember, they are paying us a lot of money to see true human fear." The 3 beings were called the Mach. They came from a faraway planet and could read minds. They fed on fear like humans eat food. They had conquered many planets already and now had their eyes on Earth. But first, they needed to understand how human fear worked so they could use it as a weapon. "Is the female secure?" one of the Mach asked. Its voice sounded like 2 people talking at once. "Yes, Ta," Han answered. "Jisoo is now fully connected to the system. Her brain is mapped, and the simulation is starting." Ta moved closer to the glass. "She has the strongest empathy scores." Han nodded. "The highest we've seen. Her mind creates deep emotional responses. Her fear will be excellent." Another Mach spoke. "If her fear is as strong as you claim, she will be the perfect test. We need to know if human fear can be harvested and used." "I promise you won't be disappointed," Han said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He turned to the main screen where they could see inside Jisoo's mind. The simulation is building itself from her own thoughts and fears. It will start simple and get worse over time. Jun-Ho watched the screen with a sick feeling in his stomach. He had joined Nexus to help create training programs, not to torture innocent people, but he was too afraid to speak up again. The last person who questioned Han had disappeared. In the monitoring room, machines recorded everything happening in Jisoo's brain. Her heart rate, brain waves, and stress levels were all shown on screens. "How long will you keep her in there?" Jun-Ho asked quietly. Han didn't look away from the screens. "As long as our friends need. Days. Maybe weeks." "Weeks, but that could cause permanent damage to her mind." "That's not your concern," Han said. The Mach named Ta pressed a long, thin hand against the glass. "Her mind is strong. Most humans would already be screaming." Han looked proud, as if Jisoo's strength was his doing. "That's why we chose her. She will last longer than others before breaking." "And she truly believes this is real?" another Mach asked. "Completely," Han answered. "The neural interface blocks her memory of coming here. As far as she knows, she's experiencing reality." Jun-Ho watched Jisoo's vital signs with growing worry. Her heart rate was climbing. The simulation was starting to scare her. "I should check the safety protocols," Jun-Ho said, moving toward a computer. Han grabbed his arm. "Don't touch anything. There are no safety protocols. That's the point." On the main screen, they could see what Jisoo was seeing. She was waking up in what looked like her apartment, but things were not quite right. The colors were too bright. The sounds were hollow. And something was moving in the shadows. The Mach leaned forward, their black eyes fixed on the screen. "Now," Ta said, "we will see what humans truly fear." Jisoo opened her eyes and looked around her bedroom. Something felt wrong. The morning light coming through her window was too bright, almost hurting her eyes. The sounds from outside were strange too, muffled and distant. She sat up in bed and called out, "Mom, are you home?" No answer came back. Jisoo got up and walked to her bedroom door. When she opened it, the hallway seemed longer than it should be. "This is weird," she said to herself. She remembered going to Nexus for her first day of work, but everything after that was foggy. Jisoo checked her phone. No service. She tried her computer. No internet. "Hello," she called out again. "Is anyone here?" She got dressed quickly and decided to go outside. Maybe someone could tell her what was happening. When Jisoo opened her apartment door, she saw that the hallway was empty. All the other doors were closed. She knocked on her neighbor's door, but nobody answered. "Where is everyone?" she whispered. She took the stairs down to the street. Outside, the city of Seoul looked normal at first glance. The buildings were all there. Cars were parked along the street, but there were no people. Not one person walking, driving, or looking out windows. The silence was the worst part. Seoul was never quiet. It was always full of sounds. People talking, cars honking, music playing. But now there was only a low hum, like the sound of electricity. Jisoo started walking down the empty street. "Hello," she shouted. "Can anyone hear me?" Her voice echoed between the buildings, but no one answered. Then, from the corner of her eye, she saw movement. She turned quickly, but whatever it was had disappeared around a corner. "Hey, wait," Jisoo called out, starting to run. "Please, I need help." She turned the corner and stopped. There, about 50 feet away, stood a figure. It looked like a person, but something wasn't right. It stood too still. "Excuse me," Jisoo said, walking closer. "Can you tell me what's happening?" The figure slowly turned around. Jisoo gasped and stepped back. It had no face. Where eyes, nose, and mouth should be, there was only smooth skin. Yet somehow Jisoo felt it was looking at her. Her heart began to race. She backed away, then turned and ran. Behind her, she heard a sound like wet footsteps. The thing was following her. In the monitoring room, Han and the mock watched Jisoo run through the empty streets. "Her fear is rising," Ta said. "It tastes different than the others we tested." "Different how?" Han asked. "More complex. Most humans feel simple panic when they see the faceless ones, but she feels fear mixed with curiosity. She wants to understand." Junho looked at Jisoo's brain scans. Her analytical centers are still active. Most subjects shut those down when faced with extreme fear. Han frowned. "Increase the pressure. Add more entities." On the screen, 3 more faceless figures appeared, stepping out from behind cars and buildings. They began to close in on Jisoo from different directions. Jisoo ran until her lungs burned. She looked back and saw not 1 but 4 of the faceless people following her. They weren't running, but somehow they were getting closer. She ducked into a subway station, racing down the steps. The station was as empty as the streets above. Jisoo jumped over the ticket gates and ran to the platform. There, in the dim light of the subway, she stopped to catch her breath. Her mind was racing. "This can't be real," she said to herself. "People don't just disappear. And people have faces." She heard the wet footsteps again, coming down the stairs. Jisoo looked around for somewhere to hide. She saw a maintenance door and tried it. It opened. Inside was a small room with cleaning supplies. Jisoo slipped inside and closed the door, leaving it open just a crack so she could see out. The faceless figures entered the platform area. They moved slowly, turning their blank heads from side to side as if searching. One of them stopped right in front of Jisoo's hiding place. Jisoo held her breath, her hand over her mouth to stay quiet. Something was very wrong with the world, and she needed to figure out what before those things found her. Jisoo stayed hidden in the small room for what felt like hours. Finally, when she heard no more sounds outside, she opened the door slowly and peeked out. The subway platform was empty again. She stepped out, her legs stiff from crouching so long. "I need to find out what's happening," she said to herself. "Think, Jisoo, think." She was a scientist. She needed to look at this problem like a scientist would. First, she needed more information. Jisoo took the stairs back up to the street. The sky had turned a strange dark red color. It wasn't normal. Nothing was normal. Suddenly, the ground shook. Jisoo grabbed a nearby pole to stay standing. The buildings around her seemed to stretch and bend, like they were made of rubber. "That's not possible," she whispered. A loud noise made her look up. High above, the tops of buildings were moving toward each other, like the sky was closing in. The city was folding itself like a box. Jisoo ran. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she needed to get away. As she turned a corner, she saw someone she recognized. It was her mother, Sunmai, standing in the middle of the street. "Mom!" Jisoo cried out with relief. She ran toward her mother. "I'm so glad to see you. Something strange is happening to the city." Sun Mi turned around. Jisoo stopped short. Her mother's face was melting, the skin dripping off like wax from a candle. "Why did you leave me, Jisoo?" Sun Mi's voice came out wrong, deep and broken. "You shouldn't have taken that job. Now look what happened to me." Jisoo backed away, her hands shaking. "You're not my mother. You can't be." Sun Mi stepped closer, her face still melting. "Don't you love your mother anymore?" Jisoo turned and ran again, tears streaming down her face. She knew it wasn't really her mother, but seeing that face had hurt her heart deeply. In the monitoring room, Han smiled as Jisoo's fear levels spiked. "Now we're seeing results," he said to the mock. "Emotional connections create the strongest fear responses." Ta and the other mock leaned forward, their black eyes wide. They seemed to be breathing in something invisible from the air. "Her fear is delicious," Ta said, "but still not pure panic. There is thinking mixed with it." Junho frowned at the screens. Her vitals are getting dangerously high. Her heart can't take much more of this. Han waved away his concern. "She's young and healthy. She can handle it." He typed some commands into the system. "Let's add some physical threats." Jisoo ran until she couldn't run anymore. She stopped in what looked like a park to catch her breath. The trees around her were normal at first, but as she watched, they began to change. Their branches reached toward her like arms. "Not real," Jisoo told herself. "None of this is real." But when a branch grabbed her arm, the pain felt very real. She pulled away, leaving a scratch on her skin. A drop of blood formed. Jisoo touched the blood. It was warm and wet. How could she be bleeding if this wasn't real? The ground under her feet began to crack. Jisoo jumped back as a hole opened up. Heat came from the hole, and she could see fire far below. She ran again, dodging trees that tried to grab her. The ground kept breaking behind her, chasing her like a hungry mouth. Jisoo made it to a building and ran inside. It was a library she used to visit as a child. She closed the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. "Think," she said again. "There has to be an explanation." The books on the shelves began to move. They flew off the shelves and swirled around the room like angry birds. One hit Jisoo on the shoulder, then another hit her head. She covered her face with her arms and ran deeper into the library. The books followed her, hitting her from all sides. Something flashed in her mind, a memory of sitting in a chair with wires attached to her head. Dr. Han saying something about a simulation. "Wait," Jisoo said, stopping suddenly. "Is that it? Am I in some kind of simulation?" For just a second, the library around her flickered, like a TV with a bad signal. Jisoo's eyes widened. She was starting to understand. Jisoo stood very still in the library. The books had stopped flying and hung in the air around her. "A simulation," she said again, watching carefully. The books flickered like a bad TV picture, then returned to normal. Jisoo's mind raced. If this was a simulation, maybe she could find a way out. She remembered her first day at Nexus. Han had mentioned something about an exit command. "Exit sequence," Jisoo said loudly and clearly. Nothing happened. She tried again. "End program. Stop simulation. Exit now." Still nothing changed. The books started moving again, slowly circling her like sharks. "If I can't get out with a command, maybe I can break it somehow," Jisoo thought. She picked up a heavy book from a table and threw it hard at a wall. Instead of hitting the wall, the book stopped in midair, then fell to the floor. The wall behind it rippled like water. "There," Jisoo said. Another glitch. She ran to the wall and touched it. It felt solid again, but she had seen it change. That was important. In the monitoring room, Han frowned at the screens. "She's testing the simulation boundaries," he said. "Why isn't she running in fear?" Tom moved closer to the glass. "This one is different." She thinks instead of just feeling. Increase the fear stimuli, Han ordered. Add her deepest fears from the scan data. Jun-Ho looked worried. Sir, if we push any harder, we could cause permanent damage to her mind. Han ignored him and typed more commands. Jisoo left the library and stepped back outside. The sky was now completely black, with no stars or moon. The only light came from strange glowing spots on buildings. As she walked, Jisoo tried to remember everything she knew about simulations. They're never perfect, she said to herself. There are always flaws. She noticed that when she felt most afraid, the world around her seemed more solid. But when she calmed herself and thought clearly, she could see small problems in the world. Colors that weren't quite right, sounds that echoed wrong. It's like the simulation gets stronger when I'm afraid, she realized. A noise behind her made Jisoo turn. A group of people stood there, her mother, her friends from school, and Jun-Ho from Nexus. But they all had black, empty eyes. You failed us, Jisoo, they said together in the same voice. You weren't smart enough. You weren't good enough. Jisoo's heart beat faster. She hated disappointing people she cared about. It was one of her deepest fears. Not real, she told herself firmly. They're trying to scare me. She closed her eyes and took deep breaths, like her grandmother had taught her. In, hold, out. In, hold, out. When she opened her eyes, the world around her was less clear. The edges of buildings looked fuzzy. The fake people flickered. I'm right, Jisoo said. When I control my fear, the simulation weakens. Outside the Nexus building, Jun-Ho's friend Dae sat in a car, watching the entrance. Dad worked for the government, investigating strange activities. Jun-Ho had sent her a message. Something bad is happening at Nexus. They're hurting people. Dae checked her watch. Jun-Ho was late for their meeting. She hoped he was okay. Inside the building, Jun-Ho copied files from the Nexus computers onto a small drive. He needed proof of what Han was doing. The files showed all the test subjects, including Jisoo. They also showed that Han was working with aliens. I have to help her, Jun-Ho whispered as he looked at Jisoo's picture on the screen. Then he heard footsteps coming toward the room. He quickly hid the drive in his shoe and pretended to be working normally. Han walked in. What are you doing here alone? Jun-Ho tried to look calm. Just checking some data points, sir. Han stared at him for a long moment. Return to the monitoring room. The female subject is doing something unexpected. Jun-Ho nodded and followed Han back to where the mock were waiting. On the screen, Jisoo stood with her eyes closed, breathing slowly. And all around her, the simulation was starting to break down. Jisoo sat cross-legged on the ground, her eyes closed. She remembered how her grandmother had taught her to meditate when she was a child. When you feel afraid, her grandmother had said, focus on your breathing. Fear cannot control you if you control your breath. Jisoo breathed slowly in and out. Each time she breathed out, she pushed away her fear. She knew the faceless people were still there, watching her. She knew the ground might open up again, but she refused to let these things scare her. As she meditated, she felt something strange. It was like she could sense the edges of the simulation, like fingers touching the walls of a box. There was something beyond this fake world, something real. In the monitoring room, alarms started to sound. Red lights flashed on the screens. What's happening? Han demanded. Jun-Ho looked at the readings. Her fear levels are dropping too low. The simulation is losing its hold on her. The mock named Ta made an angry noise. Fix it. We need her fear. Han typed frantically on the keyboard. I'm setting the simulation to level 10. No human has ever experienced this level before. Jun-Ho grabbed Han's arm. You can't. It could kill her. Han pushed him away. The mock need results. This is what they're paying for. I won't let you do this, Jun-Ho said. He reached for the main power switch. Han pulled out a small gun. Step away from the controls. Jun-Ho froze, his hand still reaching for the switch. Inside the simulation, Jisoo suddenly felt a change. The world around her became more solid again. The fake people with black eyes moved closer. "You can't escape, Jisoo," they said in that same strange voice. "You belong to us now." Jisoo kept her eyes closed and continued to breathe. "Not real," she whispered. "Stay calm." But then she heard a new sound. Her mother's voice, crying for help. "Jisoo, please help me. They're hurting me." It sounded so real, so scared. Jisoo's eyes snapped open. There was her mother, being dragged away by faceless figures. "Mom." Jisoo jumped up, ready to run to her. Then she stopped herself. "No, that's not my real mother. It's just the simulation trying to scare me again." She closed her eyes once more and returned to her breathing. The cries for help got louder, more desperate. Jisoo felt tears on her cheeks, but she didn't move. "I know what you're doing," she said loudly. "And it won't work. I won't be afraid." Suddenly, the cries stopped. The world around her went completely silent. Jisoo opened her eyes. Everything had frozen in place. The fake people stood like statues. Nothing moved. Then, like a computer screen glitching, the world around her broke into pieces. For just a second, Jisoo saw something else. A white room, people in lab coats, strange blue figures watching her. Then the simulation snapped back, but it was different now. The sky was white. The buildings were simple shades. It was like a rough draft of the world. "I can see through it now," Jisoo said. "I can see what it really is." Outside Nexus, Dai was done waiting for Jun-Ho. Something was wrong. She called her team. "I'm going in," she told them. "Jun-Ho might be in trouble. Bring backup." Dae got out of her car and walked toward the Nexus building. She had a badge that could get her inside. As a government agent, she had the right to investigate any company suspected of illegal activities. Inside, she showed her badge to the woman at the front desk. "I need to see Dr. Han immediately." The woman looked nervous. "Do you have an appointment?" "I don't need one," Dae said, showing her government ID. "Take me to him now." In the monitoring room, the Mach were angry. Todd pointed at the screen showing Jisoo. "She is breaking the simulation. How is this possible?" Han checked the readings. "She's using some kind of meditation technique to control her fear. I've never seen anyone do this before." "Fix it," Todd demanded, "or we will terminate our agreement." Han knew what that meant. The Mach would kill everyone in the building and take what they wanted. "I'm trying one last thing," Han said. "The ultimate fear scenario." Jun-Ho looked at the screen. Jisoo sat calmly in the center of a breaking world. He had to admire her strength. "Hold on, Jisoo," he whispered. "Help is coming." The white sky of the simulation turned blood red. The ground shook violently. Buildings fell around Jisoo, but she remained sitting, eyes closed, breathing steady. "Let's see how strong you really are." Han's voice boomed from nowhere and everywhere. Jisoo opened her eyes. The simple shapes of the broken simulation were changing again. Now she was in a large empty room. The walls were white and clean. In the center of the room was a table with 5 people tied to it. Jisoo gasped. It was her mother, her father, her best friend Min, her grandmother, and Jun-Ho from Nexus. They were all awake, looking at her with terrified eyes. A door opened, and faceless figures walked in carrying sharp tools. "Jisoo, help us," her mother cried. "They're going to hurt us." "Please, daughter," her father begged. "Save us." Jisoo's heart beat faster. She stood up, wanting to run to them. Then she remembered. This was still the simulation. Her real family was safe at home. "You're not real," she said firmly. "None of this is real." The faceless figures started cutting her loved ones. They screamed in pain. The sound was terrible. Jisoo put her hands over her ears. "Stop it. I know this isn't real. But the screams seemed to go through her hands, straight into her mind. She could feel her control slipping. Even knowing it was fake, the sight of her family in pain was almost too much to bear. Then she noticed something. Jun-ho, tied to the table, wasn't screaming like the others. Instead, he was looking right at her, trying to tell her something with his eyes. "It's a trick, Ji-soo," he mouthed silently. "Stay strong." That small difference helped Ji-soo focus. She closed her eyes again and concentrated on her breathing. "This isn't real," she repeated. "None of this is real." In the monitoring room, Han watched with growing frustration as Ji-soo's fear levels rose but then steadied. "Why isn't she breaking?" he shouted. "No one can watch their family being tortured without breaking." Jun-ho, still held at gunpoint, couldn't help but smile a little. "You don't understand her. She's stronger than you think." The Mokta slammed a long-fingered hand against the glass. "We need pure fear. This is useless." Han typed more commands. "I'm removing all safety limits from the system. This will push her mind beyond what any human can handle." Jun-ho lunged for him. "No, you'll kill her." Han's gun went off. Jun-ho fell to the floor, holding his bleeding arm. At that moment, the door to the monitoring room burst open. Dae stood there with several armed officers. "Government security. Everyone freeze," she shouted. Han turned his gun toward her. One of the officers fired first. Han dropped to the floor. The Mok hissed and moved toward Dae and her team. Their bodies seemed to grow larger, their skin glowing brighter blue. "They're not human." Dae yelled to her team. "Be careful." Inside the simulation, Ji-soo felt a strange surge of power. The walls of the white room cracked like glass. Through the cracks, she could see flashes of the real world. The fake versions of her family disappeared. The faceless figures froze in place. Everything was breaking down. Ji-soo stood up. She felt different, stronger. Somehow, she could sense the system that controlled the simulation. It was like she could see the code behind the false reality. "You tried to break me with fear," she said to the empty air. "But you made a mistake." She raised her hands. The simulation rippled around her. "You connected directly to my mind. But connections work both ways." Ji-soo closed her eyes and focused all her mental energy on pushing back through the neural connection. In her mind, she could see the monitoring room. She could feel the Mok's presence. And now she was going to show them what real fear felt like. "My turn," Ji-soo whispered. She gathered all the fear she had experienced. The faceless figures, the breaking world, her family in pain, and pushed it back through the connection, aiming it directly at the Mok. In the monitoring room, the three Mok suddenly screamed. They clutched their heads and fell to their knees. "What's happening to them?" Dae asked, keeping her gun pointed at the aliens. Jun-ho looked at the screen showing Ji-soo. She stood with her arms raised, eyes closed, face calm but determined. "She's fighting back," Jun-ho said with wonder in his voice. "She's using their own weapon against them." The Mok's screams grew louder. Their blue skin turned pale. Their black eyes rolled back in their heads. They had never felt fear before. Now they were drowning in it. In the monitoring room, chaos erupted. The Mok writhed on the floor, their blue skin now pale and sickly. They made high-pitched sounds that hurt human ears. "What's happening to them?" Dae asked, keeping her distance. Jun-ho held his wounded arm and looked at the screens. Ji-soo figured out how to reverse the connection. She's sending all the fear they created back to them. Dae nodded to her team. "Secure the aliens and get medical help for Jun-ho." She walked to the main control panel. "How do we get her out of there?" Jun-ho pointed to a red button. "That's the emergency shutdown. But be careful. Pulling her out too quickly could hurt her mind." Inside the simulation, Ji-soo felt power flowing through her. The false world around her was now completely under her control. Walls disappeared when she looked at them. The ground changed from solid to clear when she stepped on it. Through the neural connection, she could sense the mock. She could feel their fear, their confusion. They had never experienced these feelings before. Not nice, is it? Jisoo said, being afraid of something you don't understand. She pushed harder, sending more fear through the connection. In her mind, she could see the mock clearly now. Tall blue beings with large black eyes. They were powerful, but they had a weakness. They had never learned to handle fear because they always caused it in others. Jisoo felt a twinge of guilt. Was she becoming like them by causing fear? No, she decided. She was just showing them what they had done to her and many others. This is what humans live with, she told them through the connection. We feel fear, but we still keep going. That's what makes us strong. In the monitoring room, one of the mock, Tai, managed to speak despite the pain. Make it stop, he gasped. We surrender. Dae looked at Junho. Can she hear us? Junho nodded and pressed a button on the control panel. Jisoo, this is Junho. If you can hear me, we're here. We've captured the aliens who did this to you. You're safe now. Jisoo heard Junho's voice like it was coming from far away. For a moment, she was confused. Was this another trick in the simulation? But something about his voice felt real. She loosened her mental grip on the mock, just a little. Junho, she called out. Is that really you? Yes, his voice came again. Dae and her team are here too. We're going to bring you out now. Just stay calm. Jisoo felt relief wash over her. Help had come, but she still wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't. How do I know this isn't another trick? She asked. Remember your first day at Nexus? Junho's voice said. I wouldn't look you in the eye. I was ashamed because I knew what Han was planning. I'm sorry I didn't warn you. Jisoo remembered that moment. It was small, but real. Something the simulation probably couldn't know. Okay, she said. I trust you. Dae looked at Junho. We need to shut it down now. She's been in there too long. Junho nodded and reached for the emergency shutdown button. But before he could press it, one of the mock broke free from the officers holding him. The alien moved with surprising speed for someone in pain. He grabbed Junho and threw him across the room, then lunged for the control panel. If we die, she dies. The mock screamed, smashing his fist into the controls. Sparks flew from the panel. Warning lights flashed across all the screens. No, Junho shouted. The system is overloading. It could fry her brain. Inside the simulation, Jisoo felt something change. The world around her began to collapse faster than before. Pain shot through her head like lightning. Something's wrong, she gasped. She could feel the neural connection becoming unstable. It was like standing on a bridge that was breaking apart. If the connection broke while she was still linked to the system, she might lose her mind forever. Jisoo made a quick decision. Instead of fighting the collapse, she dove deeper into the system. If she couldn't go back, she would go forward. Using all her mental strength, she pushed her consciousness through the neural interface, following the path she had used to reach the mock. She was no longer trying to escape the simulation. She was trying to escape into the real world through the machine itself. Hold on, Jisoo, she told herself. Just hold on. Everything went black. Light. Bright, painful light. That was the first thing Jisoo saw when she opened her eyes. She blinked slowly, trying to make sense of where she was. She's awake. Someone shouted. A face came into view. It was Junho with a bandage on his arm. Is this real? Jisoo asked, her voice rough from lack of use. Or another simulation. It's real, Junho said, squeezing her hand. You've been asleep for 3 days. Jisoo tried to sit up. She was in a hospital bed. Her mother Sunmai was asleep in a chair by the wall. What happened? Jisoo asked. The last thing I remembered is the system breaking down. Junho helped her drink some water. You did something the scientists say should be impossible. When the mock destroyed the control panel, the neural interface should have fried your brain. But instead, you somehow transferred your consciousness through the system. The backup computers recorded a huge surge of data just before everything shut down. "Mom," Jisoo called softly. Sunlei woke up instantly. When she saw Jisoo awake, she rushed to the bed and hugged her daughter tightly. "My smart, brave girl," Sunlei said through tears. "I knew that job was trouble." Jisoo smiled weakly. "You were right, Mom. I should have listened." The door opened and Dai walked in. She looked tired, but pleased to see Jisoo awake. "Good to see you back with us," Dai said. "I have some news you might want to hear." She sat on the edge of the bed. "We've arrested everyone involved at Nexus. Han survived his wound and will face trial for working with alien enemies." "And the mock?" Jisoo asked. "That's the interesting part," Daz said. "The three that were in the building are different now. What you did to them changed them. They can feel fear, and not just fear. They're experiencing all human emotions for the first time." Jisoo wasn't sure how to feel about that. Are they still dangerous? "They're under guard," Dag assured her. "But they've been talking, telling us everything about their plans. They were just the scouts for a much larger invasion force." Jisoo felt cold. "An invasion? They want Earth." "They did," Junho said. "But now they're helping us prepare defenses. Something about experiencing human fear made them respect us. They never knew any species could face such terror and still fight back." 6 months later, Jisoo stood in front of a classroom. 20 people watched her carefully. Some were scientists, some were soldiers, and 3 were mock who had chosen to work with humans. "Fear is not our enemy," Jisoo told them. "Fear is information. It tells us there's danger, but it doesn't control what we do next." She touched the small scar on her temple where the neural interface had been connected. Sometimes she still had nightmares about the simulation. Sometimes she saw glitches in the real world, moments when things didn't look quite right. The doctors said these would fade with time. After class, Tai approached her. The mock looked different now, less frightening, more thoughtful. "Teacher Jisoo," he said in his strange double voice, "I have a question." Jisoo nodded for him to continue. "When you sent your fear to us, you could have killed us. Why didn't you?" Jisoo thought for a moment. "Because that would have made me like you were before, someone who uses fear as a weapon. I just wanted you to understand." Tai seemed to accept this. "My people arrive next month to sign the peace agreement. They are nervous to meet humans." Jisoo smiled. "Being nervous is normal. It's what you do despite being afraid that matters." That evening, Jisoo met with Junho and Dai at a small restaurant. They had become close friends after everything they went through together. "The new neural interfaces are working well," Junho told her. "The safety protocols you designed make sure no one can ever be trapped like you were." Jisoo nodded. She had helped rebuild the technology that had almost destroyed her, but with one important difference. Now it was used to help people overcome their fears, not exploit them. "I've been thinking," Jisoo said. "The mock didn't understand fear because they never felt it themselves. Maybe that's true for all emotions. We need to feel them to understand them." Day raised her glass. "To feeling everything, the good and the bad." Jisoo raised her glass too. The world wasn't perfect. There were still dangers out there, but she had learned that facing fear made you stronger, not weaker. And that was a lesson worth sharing with the universe.